Bolts going for 14 straight games with a point against Macklin Celebrini and the San Jose Sharks, plus a new line combination making waves for the Lightning. Dominic James involved? More on today's Locked On Lightning.
Your Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free daily Tampa Bay Lightning podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. As always, we want to begin with a shout out to our everydayers, those of you who tune into every single show, every single day. We love you and appreciate the support you give us week in and week out. I'm Nick Morgan, and I am joined by the Jared Stidham to my Nick Foles, Greg Steven. Greg, welcome in, buddy.
Good morning. Good morning. Wow. How about Dominic James lately?
Man, the man
I have a lot to say about this man.
Yeah. Well, you'll have an opportunity to say plenty about him because that line, him centering Gage, Goncalves, and Jake Guentzel has been a secret weapon for the Lightning the past couple of days, especially that last win over the Dallas Stars. We'll talk a little bit about that game coming up. Also, it is Tuesday Power Rankings because we did not have a show on Martin Luther King Day. We'll be talking about the 3 teams to watch during the NHL trade deadline. That's coming up all on today's show. First, let's jump into where the Tampa Bay Lightning are right now. Rest in peace, 12-game win streak. We did not hit the record. We stopped at 11. Damn it, Joel Hofer. It's always a wild goaltending performance.
We said it was a trap, didn't we?
We did say it was a trap. We did sort of call it and say if it was going to end. It was going to end here. But they still have a point streak. There's still 13 consecutive games with at least a point. Thanks in large part to the next game, which was this past Sunday's game, a 4-1 win over the Dallas Stars. And Greg, I'll just say it here. I think this game, this win, and the way the Lightning did it was more important than people realize, because I think it's really easy when you have a win streak like that snapped. It's not out of the question for wheels to fall off a little bit. I mean, we saw that earlier this season with the Lightning. They had that huge run and then wound up losing 4 straight right after that. We've seen it with other teams all the time. They have this big, long win streak. It gets snapped, and all of a sudden it's like it takes them a little bit to come back. I think for the Bolts to win that game against Dallas, I was strong. And we're going to talk about this a little bit, but the momentum at the beginning, the Lightning did look a little bit out of sorts at the start of this game. Dallas did a good job jumping on early. So I think it was big for the Bolts to kind of get themselves back together and come away with a win.
Yeah. And you know what? You made a really good point on our last show. And your point was this team tends to play down to worse opponents and play up to stronger opponents. And I think this is a great example of that. They knew they were playing Dallas, a juggernaut squad, and they came out, looked incredible. Like you said, a little weak start. I think if Vasilevsky wants that goal back, to be honest with you. Sure. It's not one that I think you see him allow often. It kind of trickled through on a very direct shot, no screen. But outside of that, man, Vasilevsky looked like a monster. I thought both goalies did again. It's one of those games where it's like, wow, goaltending battle again. But overall, you're absolutely right. I think, to snap again on the road as well. I mean, we can't forget how long they've been away, right? I mean, that's a huge part of this. And to continue the momentum, like you said, on the road after losing the streak, after playing so much hockey recently, just remarkable.
Yeah. So let's talk about one big storyline that came from that game, I think. Obviously, still no Braden Point. So the Lightning have had to shuffle lines back a little bit. Anthony Cirelli has now been playing between Kucherov and Hagel. Yeah, the one part, we'll get to the Nick Paul part of that in a little bit, but that has left Dominic James kind of as the number 2 center with Gage Goncalves and Jake Guentzel. Now, on paper, it seems like, Jake Guentzel is going to have to shoulder a lot of load for this line to work. I think quite the opposite. I think Jake Guentzel instead has elevated Dominic James in particular, playing in that center role. Had a great game, goal and assists against Dallas the other night. And he, it's one game, but he did not look out of place at all. Greg, what are you feeling about this line of Dominic James and Jake Guentzel together specifically?
Nick, I love it. And I thought Dominic James looked amazing in he actually, on one of his goals, he kind of botched the puck away, and then he gets up, he fights for the puck back in the D zone, then he brings it back with Guentzel, and they have a nice little passing play, and then he wrists one, lower blocker, beautiful shot, gets to the right spot in the center of the ice for the pass. It just overall, these two together this game looked unstoppable. And I love the combo. I think you leave it. I mean, after watching that game, I was like, they better leave this line alone, because this is what you're looking for when you have point out, I think.
Yeah. And you and I talked a little bit about, like, how John Cooper was going to handle this. And we thought, look, maybe this is, sort of mix and match based on the opponent. So Who knows? We could see an entirely different top 6 combination tonight against the San Jose Sharks. But I do like the chemistry that those two have built. And, there's something about them. And look, Dominic James, he's not Anthony Cirelli, but I think the little bit of the two-way instincts are there still. He's not going to, I don't think Dominic James is ever going to be like a 50, 60 point scorer or anything like that. But I do think he has that sort of defensive awareness that I think has made Cirelli such a good center for the past couple of years. And so you look at that and say, okay, maybe there's a vibe match here, because Guentzel's played really well with Cirelli over the course of his time here with the Lightning. So I think you look at that and say, okay, there's something about like the way that type of two-way game works that kind of unlocks Jake Guentzel. And I think we're seeing a little bit with Dominic James. And I'll just also throw it out too, Greg. I think Gage Goncalves, again, is another good foil on the opposite end of that line, because he does a lot of good stuff in terms of clearing space.
Yeah, completely agree. I think you make a great point about the Cirelli comparison as well. I think that's a wonderful point. But yeah, you're right. I think Gage and James, we've seen them together a little bit lately, and they kind of gel pretty well as well. So to put them both with Guentzel and kind of experiment there, and then to see success from that against a juggernaut team like the Dallas Stars, very encouraging. Very, very encouraging.
Yeah. And then obviously it's the other part of that was Nick Paul, who had been playing kind of on that first line, wasn't really working there. And I know that I don't think this is too big of a read into Nick Paul or anything like that, but I don't know if I don't know, Greg. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of experimenting to try to get Nick Paul back in the top 6.
Nick, I'm going to allude to something we'll talk about later in the show right now.
Okay.
But before the season began, do you remember what I said about Nick Paul?
You did say that he was possibly going to be a trade target.
I did. And after watching this game, I was thinking in the back of my mind, like, I think he might be the guy we give away. We'll see. We'll see. Just speculation. But I don't know if he has a spot anymore, man.
Oh, you could probably say that about a couple people too.
Fair.
It's going to depend on a lot, but we'll talk about that when we talk about our trade deadline teams to watch coming up here a little bit later in the show. But now, Greg, it is probably what I assume is going to be your favorite time of the show, and that is a chance to talk about Macklin Celebrini, because the San Jose Sharks, the suddenly red hot San Jose Sharks, are coming to Tampa Bay tonight. It's Tampa's first home game in what feels like the entirety of 2026. It's not, but it feels that way. What is the key to beating the Sharks tonight? We'll talk about that when we come back. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like being near the ice during hockey season. The speed, the hits, the atmosphere, it's unmatched. Watching at home, awesome. But being in the building at the Boy Aquarium itself is a completely different experience. The only thing that used to get in the way was actually getting tickets. We're talking about long queues, endless screens, and prices that seem to jump right before you pay for some reason. Well, that's why the Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing NHL deals and experiences in just a few taps. All you have to do is pull up the Game Time app to see what NHL games or events are coming near you. And it's not just NHL. You can find deals for basketball, baseball, football, concerts, comedy shows, theater, you name it. There's probably tickets for it on Game Time. The app is incredibly easy to use. The browsing, comparing, and buying tickets takes just minutes. And one of the best features is view from my seat. You can see the actual view of your seat of the venue before you buy, so you know exactly what you're getting into and not stuck behind any weird beams or poles. Also, I really love that the fees are included up front, so the price you see when you're scrolling is the price you actually pay at the end. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. We're back on Locked on Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Steven. And Greg, let's talk about the game tonight. Lightning finally back on home ice, taking on the San Jose Sharks. The first home game since January 6th, which was the thrilling Colorado Avalanche win. Now here they are back on home ice. And Greg, I know you're itching to talk about Macklin Celebrini and the Sharks. So have at it. What do you feel about this game tonight?
Oh man, I'm excited. I think the key to this game, Andrei Vasilevsky. I think he outpaces and outmatches either goalie over there. I think if he plays a strong game and the offense plays the way they've been playing, this is an easy win. And no game in the NHL is easy, as I always say. But I think this should be a win on home ice. You're coming home. You've had a day off, and the offense is gelling right now. There's really no excuses. I think you got to win this game. That being said, you're playing against the monster, Macklin. Yeah. And let's talk about the Sharks a little bit too later on, because they just made a big trade.
They did. And Kiefer Sherwood coming to town.
Yes. And he was one of the bigger names on the market. So
some people on him as the number one forward target. So interesting that the Sharks are going forward this early.
I was thinking the same thing, but big acquisition for this team, and it's exciting to see them kind of just go all in on their roster right now. So they're definitely a little re-energized. I think they get a new guy, and they're excited. It looks like so. Yeah, this is going to be a good game. I think we need Vasi to stand on his head though, because Macklin will do his thing.
Yeah. Well, while that it took 45 seconds for you to absolutely jinx this game, going all
I gotta
out.
Do what I got to do what I do.
This should be a win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, the San Jose Sharks 7-3 in their last 10. Obviously, Celebrini is having a season in which you could conceivably call him an MVP candidate at this point. And he's doing all by himself at this point. He is one of only 4. He is one of only 6 Sharks who are in the plus for plus minus.
Of course.
Yeah. And I will say it does seem like this is sort of another game in which I think just on paper say, oh, it's the Lightning, it's the Sharks. This should be a Lightning win. And that's exactly the kind of trap you get into.
Absolutely. You're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say Macklin's been a little quieter than normal for the last couple games here. So he's not he's not on like a 3-game 3-point streak or anything right now. But that doesn't change anything. I think, he's still dangerous, obviously. I think you got to be careful when you see him on the ice as well, because as a forechecker and a defensive forward, he is a god. So you gotta be mindful of where he's at all times. I think if you shut him down, you win this game. Kind of just like how people shut Kucherov down for the Lightning.
Yeah. Well, look, if this is a game in which the Lightning may need an enforcer, they might need, Jack Finley or Curtis Douglas on the ice, because the San Jose Sharks have one of the toughest fighters in the NHL. Oh, I'm not talking about Ryan Reeves. I'm talking about Alex Nedeljkovic. Did you see the goalie fight yesterday, Greg? Between Bobrovsky and Nedeljkovic.
Yeah, something a little rare, huh?
Yeah, first, I think they said actually like first goalie fight. So like with fighting majors in the NHL since the Battle of Alberta a few years ago. The famous Matthew Tkachuk, Zach Cassian one between Cam Talbot and Mike Smith. But yeah, that was a scene yesterday. Yeah, and of course it always happened to be with the Panthers. Yeah, it kind of gave me a little bit of the vibe of the Family Guy episode of South Park where Cartman and Kyle just start like slap fighting through the streets. Kind of gave off that vibe because everybody just kind of like, they're just sort of like throwing a hand at each other every now and then. It didn't elicit like Patrick Waugh, Mike Vernon, or any of those classics. I'll just say that. But
no, definitely not. But it was still cool. I mean, great to see it.
Yeah. It's I would say probably going to be Yaroslav Askarov in net tonight for the San Jose Sharks. Greg, before we move on, I'll just ask you, give me one big key for the Lightning to win tonight.
I'm sticking with Vasilevsky. I think, he plays his game. I think you win this game. I think he outbattles Askarov most likely in this on paper. And he plays his game. I think you win.
Yeah. For me, I am looking at the depth here. Obviously, we talked about the Macklin Celebrini top line, but to me, this is a game in which if the Lightning win, I think you can do it through the strength of your bottom 3 lines. And obviously, Nikita Kucherov, Brandon Hagel, Anthony Cirelli, assuming that's who John Cooper sticks with, that is certainly, one of a significantly great combination right there. But I also think you look down towards the rest of the San Jose Sharks lineup and you think, okay, maybe not Macklin Celebrini quality there. And then you look at, how Tampa Bay Lightning's their lines have been playing. And I think you see maybe an opportunity for them to win those matchups. And I say that a lot, win the matchups. But if you're John Cooper, you're looking at your third line. You're looking at the Pontus Holmberg line, Yanni Gourde line. You're even talking about like the aforementioned Nick Paul, Oliver Bjorkstrand, and saying it's like, look, you guys should have more talent level right now. I need you to go out and make some plays when you're on the ice, when you're matched up against these other guys.
Yeah, completely agree. And look, we've seen the Yanni Gourde and Holmberg line. They are tearing it up right now, and I expect them to outmatch whoever they're put against in this game. So they should be a huge key, like you said.
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering if maybe that Yanni Gourde line is who goes out there against Macklin Celebrini, because John Cooper's relied on them for defense a lot this year.
Yeah, you're right, and they're just such good forecheckers as well.
Yeah, obviously, as Greg mentioned, San Jose Sharks have made the one of the first significant trades of trade deadline season. So for our Monday, actually Tuesday, power rankings, we're going to be talking about the 3 major teams to watch from now until the end of the trade deadline. More coming up in just 1 second. We're back on Locked on Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Steven. And Greg, it is a Tuesday edition of our Monday Power Rankings. We are going to be talking about the 3 biggest teams to watch ahead of the NHL trade deadline. Now, this can be teams that are going to make big swings, or this could be teams maybe going into fire sale mode a little bit. These are just the teams that we think are going to have the most interesting trade deadline. All right, Greg, what is a team that you're watching?
I'm going with fire sale as number 1, and it is the New York Rangers.
Yes,
it kind of just sounds like everyone is up for grabs over there, and I'm a huge Breadman fan, so I'm excited to kind of see where he lands. I don't know where that will be, but I think the Rangers are going to be massive sellers, and we're going to see that whole team just blow up here.
Yeah, did you see the love letter from Chris Drury to the Rangers fan base?
Yeah,
it was basically, I love the tone where it's always like oh yeah, it's this isn't what we deserved, and we're going to begin this process of reevaluating and blah blah blah, and it's like I love the read between the lines of, look, guys, we're going to suck for a while, and we need you to just bear with us, please.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw this begin. I think once they dealt Trouba, I think I saw this coming. And then they got rid of Kreider, and then it's like, all right, well, I don't know what you got left over here. I mean, obviously Breadman and Trocheck, but that's not enough.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 are over there. It's interesting to see if there's any other, I guess, people on the move, even some with some contract left. I know you just mentioned the 2 big ones are Trocheck and Breadman, but look, I mean, is JT Miller going to be on the move again? Because that's, I don't think, working out the way they wanted to. You also just signed Gavrikov to this massive deal. Are you going to try to get out of that? Because that's not looking good. Yeah, I mean, I would say there is not a person on that roster that is not untouchable at this moment, and I'm talking even maybe outside like Gabe Perreault, but yeah, I mean, even somebody like Alexei Lafreniere. I mean, that's going to be a bloodbath over there.
Oh yeah, their whole team is toast for sure. Except maybe I'm thinking Shesterkin doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's Shesterkin can get you into the playoffs next year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, who do you have? Who do you have as number 2?
This is going to be one of the more intriguing ones because I'm going to go, Greg, the Buffalo Sabres here. Just because I think they are in a position where they might have to be big players at the trade deadline. Now, we're used to talking about the Buffalo Sabres being in the same realm as people who are just going to sell whoever the best player on their team is every trade deadline.
Right.
And a lot of people looked at Alex Tuch and said, oh, this is the Alex Tuch year to be the guy that gets traded. He's an unrestricted free agent this year. But Greg, did you know the Buffalo Sabres right now are in a playoff spot and playing really well over the last month and a half of the season?
Yes, they are on fire, man. They had a 9-game win streak at one point.
They did have a long win streak at one point. There's 6-3 in their last, or 6-3-1 in their last 10. But this is a team that, here's the thing. Like, I don't know what the Alex Tuch situation is, but it's almost like I feel like you have to go Blue Jackets a couple of years ago and just say, screw it. If this is it, if Tuch's, even if he leaves, we're in the playoffs. We haven't been since 2011. This is our last chance. And I think you might see the Buffalo Sabres go all in and try to get some guys on the market. And they need a little bit of everything. I think they would love maybe another middle 6 forward. I think they would love another defender somewhere in there to kind of round out the depth. I wouldn't, I mean, they could be a team that goes out there and is willing to maybe sell some futures for the next, year or two to try to get a playoff run going this year.
Yeah, I mean, they have a young squad. They have the ability to get rid of some of their prospects and draft picks, I think, and Tage Thompson has been a unit. What if we see the Breadman sneak up a little more north? Doesn't leave home too far.
That's kind of exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be
I was
really
thinking
interesting, actually.
Artemi Panarin could be a fit up there at least until free agency hits. All right, Greg, who's another team you're watching right now?
All right, I'm gonna do it. It's the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, come on,
Okay.
dude.
Yeah.
Like so many injuries. JBB is just the guy at the deadline. He just does whatever he's got to do. There's so much available. I think, especially again, we just look at the Rangers alone, just their roster. It's like, there's a bunch of guys you could probably sneak from over there. So I think Tampa Bay Lightning, man. I mean, I'm excited to see what they do, and I don't know what it's going to be just yet, but I know JBB's cooking something, man. You know he has his sights on something.
Yeah, as we mentioned last week, it seems like it would make sense for JBB to, sort of stand pat, talk about getting your three of your top defenders back, and saying it's like, well, we got Hedman back, we got McDonough back, we got Braden Point. That's our deadline acquisitions. Ha ha ha! And that's exactly the antithesis of what JBB does. He sees a team that's set, that's roster locked in, and said, screw that. How can we make this a little bit better? And I'm with you, Greg. I mean, I think that, like we mentioned, assuming everybody gets healthy, you're going to have 8 defenders who have played a big role on this team this year. Do you move one of them for some help elsewhere? You talk about, the Oliver Bjorkstrand contract. He's an unrestricted free agent. Will he be, sort of a piece that JBB can leverage into making maybe a little bit of an upgrade in that forward core? You even mentioned Nick Paul. I know you mentioned it at the beginning of this year. He wasn't exactly on my radar, but you think maybe the Lightning could dangle him as well, right?
I think so. And it's no diss to Nick Paul. I think Nick Paul's a great player. Just right now on this team, I don't know if he really has a spot right now. It's like concrete. And I don't see why you wouldn't be willing to get rid of him. But let me throw you another little theory.
Okay.
What if Stammer comes home? And you don't think so?
What?
I mean, now he's seen what it's like elsewhere, and maybe the team-friendly deal is looking a lot more appealing,
Well, he's got 2 more years at $8 million.
Yeah.
I don't see how that fits in with the Lightning's cap plans exactly.
Well, they need to have someone buy some of that out for them.
Yeah, I mean, Nashville would have to eat half, and as much as it would be cool to see, I don't exactly see the logistics of it fitting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I've just seen a lot of chatter online and felt the need to bring it up.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. I don't see it. But I will say it is going to be, because the other team I was going to throw out there, it's going to be interesting to see what the Nashville Predators do, because they were the worst team in the NHL for a really long time. Have you seen the standings lately, Craig?
Yeah. They're these
jerks are 3 points out of a playoff spot. However that happened, they also just gave the Colorado Avalanche their first loss of the season on home ice, and they
did
steamrolled the Colorado Avalanche.
It was like 7-2 or something, right?
Yeah, look, the one thing I know about Barry Trotz is, or pretty much any Nashville Predators executive, the entire existence, is if they're close, if they're like on the fence between we need to rebuild and we have a chance to win it, they're going to lean into we're going to have a chance to win it every single time. But I will say it, let's see what happens for this next month, maybe the weeks before and after the Olympic break, because they could have a lot of people available. And I know, like, a few weeks ago, they said, like, basically everybody but Roman Josi is untouchable. I think they need to realize that this core that they have is, no longer a cup contending core. Does that mean that obviously I think they're doing whatever they can to get rid of Jonathan Marchessault, but does the Steven Stamkos experiment, and is Ryan O'Reilly available? And if so, that's a name I would really love for the Tampa Bay Lightning right now, is Ryan O'Reilly. A little bit of face-off help, a little bit more, depth down the center, but can also play wing. It might need to be sort of an off-season thing, but look, does that mean you're getting rid of Philip Forsberg and trying to get some younger players elsewhere? So it's going to be interesting to see what they do, because they could fire sale. They could make a trade. Who knows? But I do think they're going to be a team to watch.
Yeah, no, don't disagree with you at all. And like you said, they're kind of climbing the standings in a weird time, but I think they'll end up being sellers, and we'll see a couple changes over there for sure.
Nothing about the Nashville Predators is normal. Somebody who's followed that team for quite some time. Always expect the unexpected with that team. Well, look, obviously, we're going to be looking forward to the NHL trade deadline. Obviously, the Kiefer Sherwood trade with San Jose happened yesterday. They're now coming to town. We had the Rasmus Anderson trade. So things are moving, and they're moving a lot earlier than I think a lot of people around the NHL expected this year. So wouldn't be surprised if we see some more trades in the next couple of weeks. And, of course, we'll be here to break it all down, especially when the Tampa Bay Lightning are involved. For those of you listening, be sure to hit that subscribe button, whether you're watching us on YouTube or tuning in on your favorite podcast platform. Not only keeps you guys in the loop when we have new content, but it also helps our numbers a little bit, and we really appreciate that. You can also keep tabs on us on social media, Locked On Lightning on Instagram, TikTok, pretty much anywhere you scroll, we're on there. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked On Lightning. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Back with a new episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.